Welcome to Some of Your Parts podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Betsy Greenleaf, premier pelvic health expert and women's wellness warrior. Join me as we discuss women's wellness topics and discuss tips and tricks with top elite health experts, and where you'll discover that you're greater than the sum of your parts. On today's show, we'll have best-selling author Michael Bernoff talking to us about his new book, Average Sucks. As founder and president of the Human Communications Institute, Michael has helped thousands of people transform their lives through his signature events, audio seminars, and one-on-one coaching. Combining his natural talent as a communicator, deep understanding of motivation, and a powerful ability to tap into virtually anyone's desire for success, he's unlocked the mystery of building charisma, influence, persuasion, and connection with others. By creating and utilizing human interaction technology, innovative teaching method, Michael sheds light on subliminal psychological triggers that affect performance and reveals powerful strategies for leaving average life behind. The result is greater financial wealth, physical health, and lasting confidence in all aspects of life, both personal and professional. And I'm so excited that we're going to be talking with Michael Bernoff. So I'd like to welcome with me today, Michael Bernoff. Thank you, Michael, for being with us today.
I'm thrilled to be here. This is going to be exciting.
So if we were just talking beforehand, I heard you speak at one of these Zoom meetings with something that we both belong to. And you just wrote a new book and it's called Average Sucks.
Yeah.
And it's funny because here's the thing I wanted to tell you is I went and told all my friends about the book, and my friends started reading the book, and I bought the book and I didn't start reading it. And now that I started reading it last night, because I knew I was interviewing, I was like, I really need to start this. One of my friends called me the other day and said, this book is amazing. It's an easy read. You have to start it. And I realized now after I started it that the reason I didn't start it last week when I bought it is my average was keeping me from starting to read the book.
Because the old you is the one that recommends really well. You're a great influencer, but sometimes we don't influence ourselves.
Yes. Yeah.
That's an old average. Interesting.
So tell people, what is this idea about average sucks?
Yeah. So if you're hearing it right now and you're like, average sucks, sometimes people are like putting up he's one of those guys that says got a Ferrari and beach house. That's not my thing. You're in my house right now. So I'm not the fancy guy. You got to be better than someone else. The reason I came up with the term is I have my whole life had this feeling like something's holding me back. I mean, you and I talked earlier, we grew up very similar, middle class, New Jersey, right down the middle, lower middle, upper, depending on the day of the week. Right.
Yeah.
And my whole life have always had this feeling like I want to do that other thing. I want to do better in the team. I want to make the first line. I want to, when I was younger, to thank God I didn't date that girl because then I wouldn't have met my wife. Do you know what I'm saying? But I wanted to date that person. I wanted to be rich. I wanted all these things. And for whatever reason, there was like this infamous force that was holding me back. And my whole life, I never knew what it was. And then I realized that we as human beings all have an average. We have a thing that we do every day, every week, without fault that we have. And it changes from time to time, but we have a thing that we do and we're willing to do everything inside of that average, give or take 5 or 10%. We will want everything outside of it, but for whatever reason, it holds us back. So my whole life, we mentioned Action Park earlier. There was this jump. Your friends went there. I know you never got to.
I know.
Cliff jump that you'd go off and you'd get to the edge. And there's this feeling like the same feeling you get when you want to ask someone to prom or you're about to buy a building or you're about to get blood work back. You know this as a doctor. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you got this feeling at the edge of the wall. All human beings don't recognize that feeling is your average and not your average. It's you have an average that holds you back. So I look at my whole life that way right now. Like, what is my current average?
It was interesting because I started thinking about it because, as you go through the book, questions come up. And then it's funny because then you flip a couple pages because I was like, oh, I'm going to ask you about this. And I'm like, then you answered it in the book for me. Because at first I was thinking too about like me being average and that my average was my average from the people around me. And you're like, no, that's not it. It's you have an average.
It's your average. And when you get farther in the book, what people don't realize is they recognize that their average is them. So there's this pull in society today, and I have kids, and there's this pull to like, how do you be like Kim Kardashian? Or how do you be like Gary Vee? Or how do you be? So we have this natural tendency as people to idolize others and idolize. So we want to be like them. We want to be liked versus how do we be all of ourselves? Like, how do we be the full potential of us? And the world has been pushing us towards others versus dominating and being all of ourselves.
You know, and then what I was wondering is if you can get to the point, and maybe I'm jumping ahead a little, but if you can get to the point where you start increasing your own average, where does that end?
It doesn't.
Because there's got to be like a ceiling.
I've got a tombstone that's already picked out. It sounds kind of horrible, but it says all used up, nothing left, did it all. So I truly believe that, like, a guy said to me years ago, he said, how tall are you? And I said, I'm 6'6". And he goes, why don't you start acting like it? And what's interesting is he goes, you're acting 5'8". And I recognized this, if you as a person could do more you, be more confident you, be better communicator you, be better loving you, be more intimate you, then every percentage changes in your life. So the question in Average Sucks, and it's later on in the book, is the average that you live, which is your automatic programming, the one you want or the one you randomly chose? Because we all got picked on in school.
Yeah.
And one day we said never again. We didn't pick what we wanted. We just said never that again. Or we're about to go through a divorce, or you get your blood work done. And it's like, or you find out something, have a child. You're like, I will not be like my mom. Yeah. But you didn't really pick what you wanted. You just weren't going to be like your mom.
Yeah.
So here you are being better than your mom, but not all the mom you could be.
You know, it's interesting because you use a lot of your own personal stories in the book, which I really like because it makes it very relatable. And especially the first one where you were like 5 years old and you were like going to the sandbox and you learned the hard way that.
I hope Andrew doesn't get mad that I ratted him out for doing that to me.
But I was thinking about, like, it was funny because I'm like, oh my God, when I was 4 years old, Michael, and I can't remember his last name, poured Coca-Cola on my head when I came up to him. And I was like, I had a similar experience where you learn at a young age that, if you go up to people you don't know and something bad happens, that's going to affect you later in your life. Like now you're going to be a little maybe shy or
it makes you confident, or it makes you throw a punch. So that is called a peak emotional experience. And anytime something, so you go through your day, and then one day something happens. You get some bad news. You get beat up. Somebody hurts you. We get coronavirus. Does that mean not even get it, but the world gets it? Yeah. There's a lockdown, there's a shooting, there's a thing. And it's like, oh my God. And immediately your brain, because it's smart, says, and I'm not a psychology, I'm a very big into psychology. I failed Psych 101 3 times. I charge more than any therapist in the country for quick results. I have no degrees. Don't listen to anything I tell you. I just so happen to be for almost 20 years getting the fastest results in the world for people that and there's people that you guys watch on TV that are clients of ours. They're in the movie business. They're UFC fighters, they're professional athletes, and we help them with this stuff. So all of us get to a time in our lives, if you can see this, you understand, but we get to a time in our lives, we say never again. And as soon as we say never again, we build a wall in front of us saying, never do that, but I want that. And this is every dinner conversation. What I don't want, what I do want. I don't want to overeat because I feel bad. What I do want is a sexy body. What I don't want is my kids to treat me bad. What I do want is them to respect me. So we live in this want, don't want, don't want. And that is the beginning of creating your average. And most people did it randomly. They had something happen in their life, good or bad, and they didn't even think about it. And they said, never again. And they built their backstop. And what's cool about it is you can't get worse than that backstop now. But what's sad about it is you didn't realize you built a box and you're actually hoarding your potential from yourself.
I think, for many of us, it's probably safe to stay in that average.
Yeah, you'll be miserable though. And the reason it sucks is because if there's a beat in your heart that says, I want more, and you live the way you live, I've never met a human being that said, I didn't want any more. I'm really content. Because after about 5 minutes with them, the TV turns on, something comes up, they want something. And the only way to achieve that other thing that you want is to adjust your average if you want it to be received more than once. So if you don't care if you go on a random vacation once and run up your credit cards and then you pay it off the rest of your life, you didn't change your average. You actually really couldn't afford that vacation. But if you want to be a person that can afford a Disney cruise, to go like we do, to go stay in a fancy place, you know what I mean? Going on vacation that costs more than people make in a year, you have to change what your average is financially, how good you are with people, how much chutzpah you have, all those things. You have to change those things inside of you to make you become that person you want to be.
And I found it was really interesting that it took you 10 years to write this book.
That's the pain part. This is where the therapist comes out, the pain part. Did you hear why it took me so long?
Because your average was holding you back. And I read that part because it's funny. I'm in a similar boat. Like 2 years ago, I spent all this money on this book writing course. And I did the book writing course and I haven't done the book. You know, I've put time in my schedule, like this half hour, this many times a week, I'm going to write the book. And, you know, actually the podcast is my ADD kicking in. It's my avoidance not to write the book. Technique,
yes.
Because I wanted to do a podcast, but one day when I was sitting down staring at the screen, and this book has been bouncing in my head for God knows how many years, like you. What?
What's the book called?
The Vagina Diet.
Okay, very good. That's perfect. Healthy vagina. Being a healthy vagina.
I know. It was basically, it's funny because I told that to a friend of mine who's a chiropractor, and as a male, he's like, I could go on that diet. And I'm like, no, wait, maybe I should change the title. But it's basically how food affects our pelvic health.
100%.
So
and your acid level and everything else.
Yeah. But when I drive around, I know exactly what I'm writing.
I have the answer.
Yeah.
You want the answer right here live in front of everyone?
Sure. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, sure is one of those Jersey terms. Sure means yeah, whatever. But here's the thing. So this is the answer. So here's why I wouldn't write the book. A 9-year-old boy was trying to write the book, meaning that there was a 9-year-old boy that told he didn't pay attention, he couldn't finish things. Michael wanted to complete that 9-year-old boy, and he wanted to do the book himself. So he really didn't have to ask for help. He also knew that if he wrote the book, he'd have to change and he'd have to expose himself to the world. So one of the things I always tell everybody is you want to definitely get Pressfield's book. It's called The War of Art, and it's all about your resistance in life. That's a side note, but here's what changed my life. I turned around one day and I asked myself a question. There's two things. One is I asked my wife for help. That was the biggest thing. That was the greatest thing for a relationship. I asked my wife, I said, Deborah, will you help me? And she said, of course. And I got the book done in 4 days. And the reason why asking her for help was I wanted to do it myself. I was adamant I was going to do it myself, and I was avoiding help because I wanted to prove a point. Here's why I asked for help. This is my question for you. And I'm not going to ask how old you are because my wife said all women are 29 years old, but I do know.
That's okay. I don't mind saying it. I'm 48.
So what does a 48-year-old woman that is a doctor, that has treated and worked with thousands of people all over the world, have you helped with babies too, or?
No, I did reconstructive surgery.
Oh, reconstructive. Okay. That has helped. So what I'm saying is you don't deliver babies.
No, I do what's called urogynecology. It's more pelvic health.
Very good. So what does a doctor that has been a doctor for, let's say, 20 years, does that make sense?
Yeah.
That has worked with tens of thousands of people, that has written in journals, does that make sense?
Yeah.
That has staff, that runs a podcast. What would that lady do, and how would that lady write the book? The problem is you've never asked that woman to write the book. That is your new average. You don't even communicate with that lady. That's not even in the book. I just gave you part of my next book. My next book is called How to Market to Yourself, which is a title. And it's going to be about how to market to yourself. So my question is, what does a 48-year-old woman doctor that has transformed the lives of thousands of people, that is an industry leader, what does that lady write about? And the answer to that question, that's for anybody listening too. Most people are trying to write the book. Like when Corona hit, you know what most people did? They went back in time. Like, oh my God, I got to reinvent my business. What did I do when I was 19? They forgot they're 56. And they got all the experience. They got the money in the bank. They've got the ability to do it. They got the know-how. They got the stuff. There's my question for you. What kind of book can that woman write? You've never asked that woman to write a book.
No. I don't even acknowledge that woman exists. So.
As soon as you're willing to look in the mirror and say, what does a 48-year-old badass woman do that reads and has influence? What does that lady do? And then once you do that, then your book starts.
Wow, that's amazing. And just turning things around to look at it in a different way.
I mean, you make decisions. I mean, I know as people, like, what does a person, how do they make, we all make decisions based on different things. It gives you a different perspective. Does that finish the book? No, but that's a different woman to even work with a book person. And I know somebody perfect if you need help. I know somebody that if you want to get it done, there'll be no questions. You will have to get it done because they're as tough as I am.
That's awesome. So that's, how did you end up doing it? Like you just said, like, you're not that.
I was $100,000 later fighting the book, meaning that I publishers don't want to publish me. I have hundreds of thousands of clients, and we sold thousands of books in a day. We broke Amazon the first night. And what I mean by that is literally we had clients ready to give reviews at 12:01, and they thought it was a scam because we had 30 people ready to give reviews. So if you go to averagesucks.com and you go to Amazon and you go check out the book, you'll see slowly they're letting reviews in because they have to check that they're real. So I had all of this ready. So my biggest thing was I've done, every year I do thousands of hours of events, right? And tons of content. And I have raving fans. My issue was I wanted to write the perfect book.
Yeah.
And there was no perfect book. So what I recognized, I just needed to get a book out there. So then I decided what I was going to write. A book that was easy to read, digestible, that was no different than sitting next to Michael. So I wanted to write someone else's book. I forgot that people like me. So I wrote me. It sounds like me, it's written like me, it's choppy, it's grammatically correct, but it's written linguistically. So it's like literally having a talk with an ADD person that knows how to get results from people. It is not trying to be, somebody else.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, because when you read it, it's like, it sounds like I'm reading it in my head and I feel like I'm having a conversation with you. And that's why I think it's such a fast read. And now I'm like, I'm a little annoyed with myself that I didn't start it last week because I'm like, oh my God, like now I just can't put it down.
Wait till you get to the next part and you get something. And one of the reasons I had a challenge with the book was that there was no other reference point for it. Like if you want to look at gynecology, there's journals, New England Journal of Medicine. There is no New England journal for how to define your average. So it was like I was writing this thing in an abyss by myself. It was like this crazy ass thought I had in my brain that did not exist anywhere else. So I had to it's kind of like standards. No, it's not. It's kind of like this. So that was one of the issues. But my biggest thing is when I asked for help, it helped my relationship with my wife because we had a great relationship. But when I asked her for help, we sometimes have to recognize that we have people in our lives that can guide and serve us if we're willing to be supportable. And so I always said to myself, why do people not support me? Why does nobody want to help? I was being unsupportable.
Yeah, I think it's tough. I think certain personalities, especially my personality, I hate asking for help. Like I don't, it's
then you
tough.
Then you don't get a book because you're going to need a publisher, you're going to need Amazon and Barnes and Nobles and everything else. You're going to have to basically say, I got an idea inside of me. I can do my part. You do your part better than me.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to understand the point of asking for help. Nobody could do your job. I mean, it's very hard to do an examination by yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, your clients, if they said, I don't need you anymore, I'm going to do my own examination. That would be a problem. Right? I'm very trouble taking my pelvis out by myself.
Yeah. So now it's interesting. How old are your daughters?
I got an 8-year-old and a 19-year-old.
Well, you've got a big difference in age.
Gap,
yeah. I have
when I met Deborah, Tara was 6 or 7. And then after we got married, Maya showed up.
Do have any of them read the books?
Maya is excited to read it. She's 8. Tara's been there since the beginning, so they're reading it right now. So I highly recommend it to kids. Tara has been to every one of our programs. She went through a really tough spot like girls do because she's sweet, nice, and pretty. I got a redhead, tall kid that's a little shyer. Do you know what I'm saying? So she went through tough spots. And she came to our events, Core Strength, which we have a teen event. And it's not teen, it's for adults and teens. And she came to the event. It revolutionized her life. So she went from lack of confidence to playing, to being a college cheerleader. And it's amazing. So she's going to college. Well, not now, but with everything going on. But she's an NCAA cheerleader now, which that never would have happened if it wasn't for changing her average.
It's funny because as I was reading this, I was like, you know what? I mean, my kids are 10 and 12, but I'm like, I want them to read this too. Like, I want them to know the things that I'm learning. So
they'd like it. My buddy Michael from Brockway Borough, he bought a couple extra copies for his kids, leaves them on the coffee table. And what kid won't want average sucks, man? It's a curse word on it, kind of.
Yeah,
so I think it's
exactly.
Cool.
Exactly. So it was interesting too. You're saying in the book that like you wear your t-shirts that say this and walk around.
I'm wearing it today. You call
it. I know. And that people stop you and are like, ask you about it.
Yep. all the time. I have a license plate that says Average Sucks. I wear the shirts. There's stickers. With the movement. And the thing is, Average Sucks is not a slogan. I own the brand. It is an absolute statement of how you're going to live your life. And people stop me, go, oh man, damn straight, average sucks. It's almost like I had a liberal, Democrat, Republican, Italian, Irish, Jewish sticker on my car, like for everybody. And they're like, everyone agrees with it, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, do you know what it means? And everyone thinks it means being better than other people. And I explain what it means. They're like, oh, I had no idea. Do you have any more? And I'm like, well, you got to read the book.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great way to market the book too. So, I was reading one part in the book. I was just starting a story where you were speaking to a woman who was at one of your, I guess, your events,
Yep.
and she asked you if you could help her lose weight.
Yep.
And you told her no.
Yep. Nope. I cannot.
So why is that?
Well, I can't help her lose weight because she doesn't want to lose weight.
Yeah.
Because who she currently is a person that's overweight, and that's her identity right now. So I cannot help her lose weight. I can help her be a person that would actually weigh less, but I cannot help her. And that's the part people don't recognize is I cannot help anyone make more money being who they currently are. I can help you become a person that can treat your life and act differently, and then you will get what you want. I'm not a motivator. I don't pump people up. I make people work right. A lot of people would say, man, that's kind of negative what you said. I actually just get results. I don't care what I have to say. I'm only after the result.
And you brought up in the Mindshare conversation the other day about linguistics and how they affect our, and I like the example that you said about how you don't work out.
Nope, I do not. I refuse to work out. I hate working out. I'm in great shape, but I don't work out. I train. And the reason I don't work out is workout is a word that was designed. It's kind of like the word doctor. Mm-hmm. It has an association. Gynecologist, nobody wakes up. I mean, I don't think most people wake up. Oh my God, I get to go to the gynecologist today.
I know.
Like, this is great. I mean, guys might think, it might be interesting, right? But girls don't wake up and think that there's an association, correct?
Yeah.
It's an important thing. It's a necessary thing. It's a health related thing, but we don't wake up. So working out to me always meant something that I did as a kid. Everyone turns 13 and then boys think they can work out. I want to get buff so girls like me. I want to be able to beat people up in hockey. I'm on a team, and then I'm 35 years old. I'm wondering, why am I not working out? Well, impressing women's not a good idea when you're married. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Beat people up, you go to jail. And I'm not on a team. I play hockey, but I'm not on a team. And then I recognize, like, well, what is it I'm after? I'm after being healthy. Well, healthy doesn't move me. If healthy moved me, I would make different choices. What moves me is training. And I also realize that I respect what I eat and I have a relationship with my health. And I think most people, the reason they make the choices they make is they don't use their language effectively. So there are words that move you. So did you know that if you don't get that book down, you're actually being a selfish person? Did you know that?
No.
Never looked at it that way, did you?
No.
And you're disrespecting your family because you're basically teaching them how to live small. So you're being a bad example. So I'm throwing that at you because that motivates you, because guilt does move us.
Yeah.
And we are moved by guilt and obligation. So if you looked at it and go, wait a second, I'm adding to the problem in the world by not getting this done. Like, so when you smoke a cigarette, no problem, smoke a cigarette, feel free to do it. Just let yourself know that you're influencing other people to start. And if you looked at it that way and you use that word, I'm influencing others to start, smoke away, you probably wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great way to look at it.
Selfish is a very powerful word, because you are not a selfish woman. I know you're not. We wouldn't be doing this right now. You wouldn't be taking your schedule. There's no money in this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly.
You care and you love. So if you care and love and you be congruent, you would get a book done.
And it's interesting about how you change how you look at things, because I know how to be healthy. I know what I need to do. And then when coronavirus hit, I went into this, I'm going to just eat all the chocolate in the world. I'm going to do all this stuff. You gain weight, of course, when you treat your body like crap. And so then I started thinking oh, I don't have a lot of confidence because I've gained weight. And then all of a sudden one day I went, wait a minute. No, I was like, I thought, I'll have more confidence once I lose the weight. And then one day something flipped in my head and I'm like, no, I'm confident. So now I'm going to lose the weight. And it was like the first time in my life that I felt more motivated to actually be healthy, because my confidence was driving the healthy, not like I was waiting to be healthy to get confident.
So How long have you been on a roller coaster like that? Like up, down, up, down, up, down with the
Oh
health?
God, my whole life.
Okay, so the reason we do that is we love solving problems as humans. You probably identify as a woman that likes to solve problems. That's why you
Yeah.
do what you do. Okay.
Yeah,
So
because I want to solve everyone else's problems as a
without a
doctor.
problem, without a problem, you don't have a job, correct?
Yeah.
So what human beings do is they work out and they do it for a couple of months or a year and they get to a point where they plateau, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And it gets kind of boring. And then they gain the weight back and they let themselves go and then they work out again. And they don't realize that human beings get a high of dopamine, norepinephrine, serotonin, oxytocin. I know I'm not a doctor, but I am speaking your
Yeah.
language by
Yeah.
exercising for 7 days. After 7 days, the body says, this is our new normal now. It's not going to give you those drugs anymore. You're going to have to get those drugs from somewhere else. So human beings feel the high wore off. They chase the dragon, they gain the weight back, and then they look for the drugs again. So the way the human brain works is you get 7 to 15 days of drugs to give you a head start. So the new Beachbody audio comes in, or video, you get the new Insanity, P90X, Sweating with the Oldies my mom got back in the day. Remember that?
I remember that. My mom had it too.
Right?
Yeah.
So back in the 80s, right? So it comes in the mail and you're like, oh my God, I love this. I'm going to do CrossFit, Orange Theory. I'm going to work out. And you get 7 to 10 days and then mundane kicks in. And at the end of mundane is your goal. But here's what your unconscious mind knows that you don't know, that the actual achievement of what you want is less attractive than the idea of it. The 1-900 number, the fantasy is always greater than the reality. It always is. So we love and we fall in love with the idea of what we want. The actual attainment of it is typically usually a letdown. So a kid wants his whole life to win the Super Bowl, right? And then finally gets there and he's happy on Sunday, locker room. I don't know what they're going to do now. But what are they going to do now for the Super Bowl? Like, are we going to have like plexiglass in front of each other to shoot champagne? I have no idea. So champagne goes off, things go crazy, everything. And they're like, I'm going to Disneyland. And then Tuesday they're bummed. And the reason they're bummed is they spent 30 years of their life trying to get here. Now you got it. What do you do next? If a human being is not understanding of the increase of their average and the necessity of it, that is where depression comes in, because we live in a world where life got very easy. I don't know if you got to the part of the book about the middle class.
No, I haven't gotten that part yet.
We created a world that overrode biology. And when you get that, you understand that. I want everyone to read that. When you get that part, you're going to be like, damn, participating in the middle class, which is 80% of North America from 1955 to 1995, has actually overrode the biology for have natural adversity, and it's all gone now. And because of that, human beings do not grow naturally, and we have to find problems. The issue is we're finding the wrong problems.
Yeah.
Finding drugs, alcohol, the Kardashians, are all the same crap. Does that make sense? I put the Kardashians in there with drugs and alcohol.
I don't. I see it. I see that people are like addicted to knowing what's going on with their lives. So
they're strategically orchestrated. They're geniuses. I wish I was at an event once, and I can't knock their success, but I can actually call them out for their lack of leadership. My daughter looks up to them or has a fascination with. Why wouldn't you? I mean, fancy parties, looking pretty, blah blah blah, Gucci this and blah blah blah. Right? So my question is, why don't they use 15 minutes of their show once a year to say, hey, kids, just want to let you know these shows take about 2 days to record. They're not easy. It's very hard. You got to memorize your lines. Please do your homework. Odds of succeeding are less than 0.1% to do what I do. So please stay in school. Like Tony Orlando, I'm friends with Tony, remember Tony and Dawn? I was talking to him the other day. My daughter was singing to Tony, and he said, he basically said, you know what? We're going to use school as a backup plan for your daughter, but let her go sing. Does that make sense? And why not say have a backup plan? And that's a big thing for people. That's a great man too. That guy's another Jersey boy. Nice guy.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you do to keep your average moving higher?
I pushed myself. When this whole Corona thing hit, I was doing well in my life. And then this whole thing hit, I realized what I was built for in this world. My parents raised me to believe that we have to do our part to repair the world. And there's always going to be damage in the world. So we do it by repairing ourselves, and we do it by growing ourselves. So I'm not obsessed with personal development, but I am obsessed with getting better. And I know that if I want my world around me to be better, I have to get better. So it's old school, Talmudic thinking, 5,000 years old, the concept of we need to repair the world, but we can't look on the outside. We need to look on the inside. So I do things that push me outside my average, whether it's a Spartan race, or I play hockey a few days a week, or I do a podcast I've never done before. I put myself out there. Anytime you can do something outside of what you normally do, you start changing your average. Open up an E-Trade account. Give it a shot. I know most people are scared of it. Go buy a stock. Go buy $50, go lose money, give it a shot. And the reason I want to give it a shot is get in there. Just get in there at any time. Like you go from 0% investor to 30 minutes of your life. And now you got a speck of a new average. And maybe you could do it for a few days a week. And then eventually after a couple of years, like I'll give you an example. Like my oldest played soccer for 2 years, right? That's it. We have a soccer ball in the backyard. Little boys come over that play with my little one, my nephews and stuff. And she's better than those kids because she played for 2 years. It'll always be inside of you. So anytime you do anything for a decent period of time, you get pretty good at it. So my question is find things that get you good. Find things that get you better. Like you you're shy, go join a bowling league if people are allowed out of the house anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? Or join a bike club or just get out around people if that's your challenge. That's how I push myself.
And then how do you know when you've like kind of hit your plateau with your average that you now have to go even higher?
Here's the best part about your average. You don't have to do anything. So here's the cool part. If I looked at your books, how long have you been in business?
About 15, 16 years.
I guarantee for the last 5 years, you've met with about the same amount of patients. You make about the same amount of money. You have about the same amount of business, same amount of bitchy complaining. You have the same amount of angry people, same amount of lawsuits, same amount of everything, correct?
Yep.
It's all identical.
Yes.
So you can sit on your ass for 9 months and do nothing. Like literally tell everybody it's closed. And you know what happened? Around 9 months into your business being closed, you would do what? You would take the last 3 to 4 months of that year and you would literally make up the 9 months difference. You've been doing it your whole life. We always do it. So as human beings, we don't have to work hard to be ourselves. You don't have to work hard at all. You just will automatically do it. So how you know you hit your average is asking yourself a question like, what do you do automatically? Like just looking at your life, like look at your bank account, pull your daily average, there's your average. Weigh yourself on the scale. You know what you weigh about averagely. I know me, I fluctuate between 229 and 236, and there's my average. My old one used to be 240. My new average is about 229 to 233, and I live in that area. I don't even have to try. Eat right, eat wrong, eat right, eat wrong, eat right, eat wrong. I eat right most of the time. But so you know when you're at your average, first when you accept it. So you just need to ask yourself this question, but here's how you change your life. This is in the book, but I'm going to give it away right now. The second a human being accepts they're not where they want to be, hardest conversation you can ever have. It means what you're doing up till now is not good enough. It's scary. But once you do that, opportunity presents itself. Then your brain's like, great, we're not where you want to be. Where do you want to be? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? And then you look and like, well, what do I want to do? And then insecurity shows up.
Yep.
Insecurity shows up because it says, we're not good enough. And the answer is you're not. And that's okay. It's totally okay. Drop to the floor, do 20 push-ups. Can you do 40? No, I cannot do 40. No problem. You're good enough for 20. You're not good enough for 40. You're not a bad person. You're just not good enough for 40. Not being good enough for 40 doesn't make you bad. It just means you got work to do. And hard work will never solve it, ever. You got to change who you are.
You know, it's interesting because I don't know if it's something that's just showing up in kids now, but I noticed with my own kids that if they're 10, I have 2 girls, 10 and 12.
Okay.
So, but I notice with them that and I don't know if this is like a millennial thing. I mean, they're out of millennials. I don't know what they're in.
Strange. Yeah.
So, but if they don't do something perfect the first time, they get so hard on themselves. And like my husband and I were like, we're not like those kind of parents that are like, oh, you suck because you didn't do it perfect. We're like, okay, yeah, you didn't do it perfect. That means you need to work harder to improve yourself and you need to.
But they don't want to work harder.
No. And it's like, I said, I don't care what you do. I don't care if you play soccer. I don't care if you do this. And pick something you like and do it well. And just keep pushing yourself to do it well. So, but I can't, and I see it with their friends too, that they're all like, I tried it once. I sucked at it. I'm going to give it up.
How many of those moments did you have in your life?
For me, like with that?
Personally, back being 8 or 10 years old, where you tried something, it didn't work out right, you didn't do it again.
Oh, I would love to be able to sing, and I am a terrible singer.
Okay. So you gave it a shot, you didn't do it, you quit it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we as adults don't realize that perspective plays a large role in our lives. Like my parents always said, oh, don't run up your credit. And it's easy and I ran up my credit and I screwed up and I went to college and made every mistake you could make. Do you know what I'm saying? I did everything you could ever do wrong. I'm sure you did too, right? And, and then I was good at it. I went to Arizona State. So I was a professional partier for years. And so what happened was, my parents always tell me what to do. So as my kids, I want them to get it right away. I think it's more painful for us as parents. We don't realize that they are talking to you and they're speaking out loud what you felt that you didn't speak. So you had that feeling like, okay, I didn't kick it well. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
The difference is They may not push themselves to the level that you did, but they don't have to. We screwed them up just like we got screwed up.
Yeah.
Life got really easy. Like, so my daughter Maya, there was a point where she was able to order a doll, right? Way before the American Girl doll stage, but like just a regular doll. She earned stickers, got the doll, walks over to Amazon, she's 3 years old, pushes the button for Amazon, and then she runs to the front door. She did not understand why it wasn't there yet. That's our children. We used to wait, you and I, we'd go down to go get a yellow Sony Walkman that was waterproof, you know, the one we have.
Yes, yeah.
With Dolby surround sound with auto reverse and Nobody Beats the Wiz. And we would want that, or sound, whatever that was, Sound Circuit City, whatever it was.
Crazy Eddies.
Crazy Eddie. So we would go, this Jersey talk for those of you.
I know.
So you would go wait, and there was a period where it took 7 to 10 days to get it. You had built-in adversity. These children, life is too easy for them. So they don't know pain. Now, let me tell you something about coronavirus and the gift in it. Ready for the gift?
Yeah.
Life sucks for them right now. They're feeling pain. And I'm going to tell you, there are kids in September and October, and I hope I'm right. There's this bad shit happening too. And excuse me cursing on your show, but people curse.
No, that's fine.
And one thing I'll tell you is that there's bad things happening in houses, and I'm not here to get political right now, but I am telling you there's going to be some kids that make sports teams they never made before in September because they got tougher. There's going to be kids that will not be bullied anymore because they were at home and they were learning, getting teased by their older brothers and sisters, and they're not going to take it anymore. There are kids that overcame their ADD at home and Zoom because they're doing better. So when school starts again, there's going to be a fresh new group of 1980s styles kids that did not get what they wanted, and they won't like that anymore. So I'm just telling you, they got a taste of pain. Yeah. And thank God they did. And it sucks. And there's psychological damage that I unfortunately am going to have to deal with. I'm the guy that gets called to Columbine. Does that make sense? I'm also the guy that gets called into these situations. I am going to have to deal with kids and their trauma after this. But there's other kids that are going to grow from the situation because they unfortunately were met with adversity. They're learning how to cook at home because they have to.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny because that's what we've been doing with the kids. We're like, okay, you know, you're all going to learn new skills while we're home. And my oldest one was terrified to even turn on the stove.
Of course.
And I'm like, just turn it on. She was like,
you scared her. You don't realize you scared her because you did it for her. You avoided it. She got everything done for her. She didn't have to. There's a really cool program we found online, and maybe your kids might be too old for it, but it's a little baking program that comes once a month. It's an automatic thing that ships, and we get like this baking cookies or something. You break like once a month. My little one, they put a hat on and do your thing. So like once a month we bake. Once a month we do it. So it's a pretty cool little program, $20 a month, where we get like a recipe in the mail. That's
really cool. So, and you have another program that I just signed up to for that's coming in June. So you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I think the best thing everyone should do is just, you know, especially, and who's the most obvious person I'm talking to right now that's listening to me right now? Who are they?
They're the women like age 35 to 55-ish.
Awesome. That's what you told me earlier. So you at home, you person, you mom, you worker, you person, you awesome, incredible human being. Yeah. We all have things we want in this world. So I always said, like, I wrote the book so I could help people. And they said, why would you need anything else? Well, the book's a great start. And I obviously recommend check out averagesucks.com and get the book. And I got a bunch of bonuses there. There's a free course. It never was free up until 90 days ago. But when Corona hit, we're like, how do we help people? So I got knocked down by 01 by September 11th, destroyed me. I said, never again. 08 and 09, I felt like I got body slammed, but I got up, right? I said, never again. You know what I'm saying? So when this thing hit, my wife and I realized we're in such a great position that we can help people. So we've been giving away a program that's $600. We've given away $2.5 million worth up to this point in the last 90 days. Literally given away. I can show you the metrics of people taking it. And so it's 5 days with me live. It's not like some digital recorded thing. It's me live for 5 days. Kick your butt, hold your hand, raise your average. And it's designed for people that are doing well in this world, that want to do better. There's obviously people that are stuck, and then there's people that I want to get to the next level. So we're very attractive what we do to your range of people, that 25 to 55-year-old person. We work with everyone older too. We're not anti-age, but it's those people that are like, I got some life left. I'm ready to roll. I know I'm capable of more. So if you've got something inside of you, it's the guarantee is getting more done in 5 days than you have in 5 months. And it's designed to teach you what makes you communicate with you and how you get yourself to do what you want. And I've been doing this for 17 years, and I've taught it. We did the calculations, how many hours the course takes. It's a couple hours a day. We've realized that I've spent 2 full years of my life, 24 hours a day, teaching this material for the last 17 years. That is how long I've done this. I did my 10,000 hours like by the time I was 27. So
Wow.
it's calltoactiontime.com. And if you can put in the show notes or whatever, but
Yeah.
it's called the number 2 actiontime.com. There's no catch. It's free. All I ask is that I'm like a doctor, that if you're going to do it and take a spot from somebody, please show up. And if not, don't take a space. Like really decide you want to do it. If you do it, it's absolutely free. If you want to do something else with me afterwards, you can, but it's amazing. And you and I know I've worked with some high level humans that you know, and they
Yeah. And everyone speaks so incredibly highly of you. So,
Thank you.
and it's been wonderful talking to you. Where else can people find information about you?
I'd start there. Honestly, get to know me. Do call.
Yeah.
You can go research me. I'm all over the web. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me everywhere. But like literally, spend 5 days with me. Not full 5 days. Couple hours a day for 5 days. Morning or night. You're a soccer. Can we say even soccer mom anymore? Is there even soccer? I don't even know what's going on, right?
I know.
Kids, and you need to do the night or the morning. I run it twice a day. It's very interactive. I got them every 2 weeks. I'm doing this right now. I was doing it to the tune of almost losing my vocal cords. And again, I had extra sessions with my vocal coach to do it. But I would do calltoactiontime.com and get the book. AverageSucks.com. Everyone is saying one specific thing. And I'm so happy about my outcome when I wrote my book. I wanted to write something that was easy to read and easy to use. It is not reading complicated novels. It's not reading Dune. It's not reading Stephen King. It's not Harry Potter. It's the cliff notes of how to make your life work.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's wonderful. Like I said, I started it last night and I can't put it down. Like I can't wait to go back and start reading it again. And I'm like, and I actually have homework I got to be working on. So I'm like reading your book as I'm doing my homework.
I got uncomfortable because when people got done with the book in a day and I'm like, oh my God, they're going to need the next book now. I got worried. And then I'm like, okay, this is how you do it. So I didn't write it short. It's 200 and something pages.
Yeah.
But everyone's finishing it in 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
And they're saying to me, Michael, thank you. I got it. And they get to work.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to tell you how it's changed my life once I'm done with it. So, but I can tell you already the ideas in it are making a difference and how I'm looking at things. So
I love it.
I really appreciate it. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me on. I'm excited to be here. Any way I can help anybody, reach out, let me know. I mean, we're here. I mean, this is what I do and who I am. This is not a job I have. I would do this for free. So I'd love to work with anyone and help anyone I can and pass it on to people you care about. Thank you.
Today's episode was brought to you by the Pelvic Floor Store, your source for personal health. You can find us at www.pelvicfloorstore.com. For more information on today's episode and women's wellness, please go to drbetsygreenleaf.com.